All right, everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of the Hometown Huddle podcast. We're really excited here, a really special episode. As we're here towards the end of spring break in Royal, we wanted to do a little bit of a spring sports update. So today we have a little interview with Coach Lisa Lawrence of our reigning state champion Royal Knights softball team, as well as Randi Allred and Raegan Wardenaar, who were a big part of that state championship last year, and kind of this. I feel like the softball program has been solid for a lot of years, right? Even though apart from championships in the past, but these kind of runs to the championship the past few years. So we're really excited to have them on today to kind of discuss Royal softball legacy and talk a little bit about the program, and then this kind of run to the state championship last year. So thanks, guys, for coming on. We really appreciate you guys taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Okay. So just a little history here. So going back some research that I did, and Dad, you might have some perspective on this because you were in high school at the time of a lot of these. But Royal won state championships in slow pitch softball in 1983, 84, 85, 86, then took second in 87, then won again in 91, 93, a couple other placements in there, and then champions again in 97, 98, and 99. And then most recently in fastpitch here in, taking, first place state championships last year in 2024. For a total of, I didn't even count it. You guys might know off the top of your head our total number of championships. Is it 10?
Yep.
Awesome. Into the double digits.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So I know slow pitch softball now is still played. I think only really, is it just the 3 and 4A schools that do it now in the fall? Was it in the fall before, or is it always in the spring?
No. Yeah, actually there's 2A starting to do it, and we have a proposal into the school district to add it to Royal, probably the fall of 2020. What I'm thinking.
Sorry, cut out a little bit. 2027?
Fall of 2026.
2026. Okay, awesome. Wow, that is cool. That's exciting to hear. I've always just seen the things on the WIA post on Instagram, so that's cool that 2A is doing it, and now we're getting back into it too. That's awesome. So we'll have that fall slow pitch season. So. Yeah, I guess if everything passes. Mm-hmm. So fall will be slow pitch, and then spring will still be fast pitch.
That's right.
Okay, and my experience with slow pitch was really, I umpired like some rec leagues and stuff when I was at college, but what are kind of the key differences for people at home who don't totally know? And for myself, maybe, who really, I don't know, maybe know the total ins and outs.
Well, I mean, the number one difference is the speed of the pitching, but it's an entirely different game strategy-wise. A slow pitch is a highly offensive game, depends a lot on defensive play, high-scoring games, where fast pitch tends to be a lot more rigorous, lower-scoring games. It's a pitcher's game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's really exciting. I had no idea we were going to have the possibility of doing that. That's awesome. That's really exciting. Well, kind of jumping in here to our outline. We're excited here to hear about a little bit of things. Sorry, I might be a little all over the place. I apologize. So we, for spring break, my wife and I and our little daughter, we went to visit grandparents in Utah. We just got back last night, and a little 5-month-old baby who doesn't love her car seat is tough on a 12-hour road trip. So, so I'm kind of all over the place. I'm sorry about that, but hopefully we can get you guys talking here. So we can hear a little about things. So, well, let's hear a little bit about kind of the journey of everybody here in softball. Maybe starting with you, Coach. What's been your experience with softball going all the way back? To playing days or different things, and then coaching here at Royal. How did you get started there?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Olympia, and we did not know the slow pitch world in Western Washington. So I grew up playing fast pitch. I played travel ball all the way through. I was a starting middle infielder all 4 years at Pacific Lutheran University, where I was also an All-American. We went to nationals 3 times. I think our top finish, we were NAIA, we finished 3rd, was our best finish.
Wow.
So my background, that's all I knew was fast pitch. So along the way, after I got out of school, I did some private hitting instruction and coached my kids when they were little, my daughters, and started coaching travel softball. I coached middle school for Royal when my oldest daughter was coming through the program, and eventually took over as head coach of the high school program. This is my 4th season.
Okay, cool.
Wow, Lisa, that is an awesome resume.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. That is so cool. All American at PLU. No wonder
Yeah.
we're state champions
Yeah.
here. This is great. Man,
Yeah.
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, especially when you think about just going from coaching just a couple years and then making it to state championships and winning a state championship. It obviously takes quite a bit of experience to do that. It's not something you often see really early on in a coaching career. So for you,
Well,
did you always have
I
the?
have to be honest, we had a very talented group of players. So I basically just had to not screw things up.
Yeah, no, I think I think a lot of coaches can say that that it really is about the players a lot of the time.
Yeah.
For you, did you always want to get into coaching? Was that kind of always your plan, or did it just come along with coaching your daughters, or
I
what was that
did.
like for you?
I love coaching. I did, like I say, I did some private hitting instruction, and it's hard as a female coach when you've got young kids. I know I listened to Farrah's podcast and echo that I had a lot of interest in coaching, but it's hard when you're raising a young family to find the time to be able to do that. So over the years in Royal, I've been asked several times to apply, and the timing just wasn't right. But as my daughters got older and they were playing, then it just made a lot of sense that I could start coaching. So I coached at middle school for probably 3 years, I think, if I remember right. I volunteered over the years with the high school program as I could, and so as my girls got into the high school program, it just kind of was a natural fit, and I had the time to make it happen. But yeah, I'd always been watching. I love coaching. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm happy to be there.
Yeah, well, I can say we're happy as well. We're glad the timing worked out, and I think I'm just amazed. It's fun to see my wife become a mother and just the how difficult that is, and then to imagine trying to coach on top of that and raising your kids as they grow up. It's so impressive to see our coaches here and the way they handle that and still have this great success at this level. It's really exciting to see.
So how many years, Lisa, is this then as the varsity head coach?
This is my 4th season as head coach of the varsity.
Okay. Oh, so this is your 4th season. Okay, wow. So
yeah.
So kind of how did you guys? So your first season. Let's see, because I'm the golf coach. So it sucks because the spring sports, we have tournaments all the time. So we're getting home and I don't ever get to go see any of the soccer games or any of the softball games. So your first season, did you guys make it to state? I can't.
Yeah, we made it to state. And I was hired 5 days before the season started, and the schedule was already set. So we played a lot of not very competitive games. And so we got to state, and we saw some really great competition, and we lost the first game. We were done. And learning from that, now I'm I schedule our games with our AD Cody hand in hand, and I make sure we play the best competition we can in our non-league games to get us ready. So the next year we took second in state, and I think those non-league games were just crucial to getting the team ready so that when we saw the competition at state, we were prepared to see good pitching and see good teams. Yeah. It took us a long ways. So we followed that last year with just a really rigorous schedule, and it worked out. We didn't have as many wins last year, but we saw the competition we needed to get us ready to succeed at state.
Yeah. No, that non-league schedule, having those competitive games, obviously really crucial, I think, in any sport. But so, Randi and Raegan, let's hear from you guys a little bit, kind of the journey over this. What has your experience been like in softball here in Royal, kind of growing up in this community? How early did you guys start playing softball around here?
I think it was, when we first started playing, it was for Rattlers in Moses, but that was 10U. And then from there, it was just, straight to middle school. and we were already experienced from travel ball and all that. But yeah,
Okay.
And Lisa's been our coach for ever, pretty much.
So so as she was coming up coaching through the middle school, you guys were a part of that. Do you feel like that was a big, I don't know if that added to maybe the chemistry between you guys as between coaches and players? How did that affect you having, the same coach through your middle school and then high school years?
It was good because, I mean, we're there all together, and it's like everyday practices, and even in Rattlers, it's me, Randy, and Lisa all together.
Yeah, so you kind of just develop that bond over that time. Okay, that's awesome to hear.
So what positions do you guys play, Randy and Raegan? What positions do you play?
For Royal,
For high school.
I was catcher all 4 years.
Really?
Didn't move.
I play shortstop and some outfield. Well, when I was younger, I would play shortstop, outfield, third base, just pretty much anywhere.
A little of everything.
High school, shortstop.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
And so, for you guys growing up here, obviously the state titles of the 80s and 90s were a long time before you guys. Coming into high school, did you feel like there was kind of a legacy to be carried forward? Did you feel like, the program, was in a lower place? What were your perceptions of our high school softball program as you got into high school? And what were your expectations for yourselves going in? Did you feel like, oh, we're gonna compete for state championships, or did you just kind of not have an idea of what was going to happen?
Well, our moms and aunts all played on the slow pitch and won state championships, so they were always telling us about that. And so that was my dream going into high school, being able to accomplish that. And
that is cool. I'm so glad to hear that you brought that up, because I hadn't thought about that. That's right. Danielle and Lisa both would have been in that.
Where we got our competitiveness.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
And Jane was a coach.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's even better.
Yep.
Okay, so that's where we can relate with you there, is coaching around Dane, because we both have been around Dane with grid kids and coach and things like that. He definitely brings a whole new perspective and attitude to having fun, working hard, and telling it like it is, I guess.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd be interested to see how his softball coaching differs from his grid kids, because I know I we moved here when I was a sophomore in high school, but my little brothers had him as a coach, and I feel like it was, if you knock somebody's helmet off, I'll give you $10, or just it was almost a bounty gate type of thing.
The $2 bills are really in it.
You stack up some incentives pretty quick with the $2 bills.
Yeah.
Well, that I'm. It's just cool to hear that about moms and aunts who were part of these state title runs, and our most successful program at the school for a really long time, and still to this day, just as far as legacy. So it's cool to see that legacy kind of be carried on in this next generation, and I just love the fact that was kind of a goal or something you dreamed about, with those state titles, and then getting there to do that. Let's sort of jump into kind of the journey of that. So you guys get into high school. You have, Lisa has been your coach for a while, and let's talk a little bit about the year. So at least I guess your second year, where you've kind of scheduled some tougher teams. What was the experience of that year, kind of for everybody, whoever wants to kind of jump in and talk about that? How did the season sort of start out, and what were expectations preseason? I guess was it 20? The years I get so mixed up on now. But 2023, I guess, kind of the beginning of that year before making it to the finals for the first time. What were expectations for the team, for the players, and as a coach? What were you guys thinking coming into it?
We just wanted to see good competition. It hurt us the year before. We just didn't, really seeing good pitching and getting the hitters ready, and seeing, good teams that are good on offense to get our defense ready. So that year our schedule looked way different. We're playing, I don't remember exactly, we probably played Moses Lake and Eastmont. probably whatever 4As, that we could get our hands on that would play us, just to see the competition. We had 2 pitchers that year. So we had Randi Allred and Maddie Ortega Sanchez, and they were both, they about split time throwing. They're both very dominant pitchers for 1A. They're probably some of the best in the state. So seeing, on the other side, good competition that we could see what we could do against just helped us tremendously.
What do you feel like? Oh, sorry, did I interrupt there, Randi? Or
Oh, no.
Okay. What do you feel is kind of the biggest difference? And maybe you guys, players who are out there on the field, what's the biggest difference you see between a team like Moses Lake or Eastmont, a big school, and maybe somebody who's just in our league that we see all the time? Is it pitching? Is it hitting? What do you guys feel like the biggest difference is?
Well, I would say for me, it's the depth. So for 1A schools to see a solid lineup that, good 1 through 9 and beyond is rare.
Mm-hmm.
So when we face teams like that, it's, you can't ever let down because their number 8, number 9 hitters are as strong as a lot of 1A, hitters in the top 4. So, seeing that just rigorous play all the way through the lineup is really great for us.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that would, change the mentality of, every hitter, every pitch is serious. That mental focus, I think, is something that people in baseball and softball, in both of them, I don't know what the general perception is of like, oh, it's an easy sport. You're barely running, doing things. But the mental focus it takes as a batter or as a pitcher or even as a fielder to just focus and be able to execute in that 5 seconds when something's happening is really tough. So that's really interesting to hear that, those bigger teams, that depth, how big of a difference that makes.
Yeah, it's big.
So, last year, obviously the league has changed a little bit over the years. But through that season, if I remember right, we won the league. Is that correct? The SCAC, at least the East. Is that right that year? Or was there some competition inside of the league? That was pretty good.
23 and 24. Mm-hmm.
Okay, won both of those. And then, so going to state, the format I feel like changes all the time. That 2023 year, what was it like, kind of the journey going into state that year? Were like seeding and district tournament, how does that work?
Yeah, so they picked 12 teams at state, but the bottom 8 have a single elimination play-in game, and that's what got us the year before, was we had the play-in game, we lost to Castle Rock, nothing, and we're done, which is an unfortunate way to do the state tournament. Teams travel from a long way. It should always be double elimination, but it's not how it's set up. So the 2023 season, I can't remember our seeding, but we were top 4, so we didn't have the play-in game, which is nice. You've just got a little, on the line starting out in double elimination. You've got a little bit of a security blanket. So last year we were ranked RPI-wise pretty much number 1 most of the year, but our seeding ended up putting us in the lower 8 team group, and so we had to play in game last year. So we had to, battle a little bit harder to get through, but it's just that play-in game is what we try to do. If we can get the seeding top 4, that's cool. Yeah.
And it's so tough with the RPI that it's just, there's only so much control you really have over it to kind of avoid that. But yeah, I can see how that would be. So so if you make it to that double elimination, if you lose one of those, can you still make it all the way to the finals and win the state championship? Or is it like basketball where you go to like the 3rd, 4th place?
Yes, the best you can do is 3rd or 4th.
Okay, but you still get to play. Yeah, because I don't know. Maybe the people that make the tournaments are a lot smarter than me, but I don't understand why we don't just do 16 and you get double elimination. I don't understand the 12 and the first round bye, and just, I don't know.
I agree.
It's weird. Even if there's for football this year, we only had 12 because we were one team short of having 48 teams in the division. It's like, who cares? Just make it 16. Why are we robbing teams of games? Like, you only get so many of these in your high school career. So, but that is neither here nor there. So 2023, you have that first round bye. I'm just trying to look here at the things. So I have it here. So quarterfinal, play Linden Christian and win by a couple runs. Semifinal, beat Hoquiam, and then play Montesano, who I can't stand Montesano because we lost to them in the finals when I was a senior and come up a little bit short. But what was that like for you guys to play in a state final? Despite it maybe not turning out the way you wanted, how was that a positive experience for you guys?
Going into the game, I
go ahead.
was very nervous,
Mm-hmm.
but all the girls were, because we've never been in that situation or been in it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we were all nervous, but as soon as we got on the field, like, I tried calming everybody down, and yeah, we did. I thought we did pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
but just until the weather went bad,
Yeah.
that was awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it didn't feel real, because stopping the game and then having to come back the next day and resume the game, it didn't feel real to me.
Yeah.
Raegan, do you explain exactly what happened?
So I don't know what inning it was. I think it was
It was the 5th inning,
Yeah.
bottom of the 5th, 2 out.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
and
go ahead.
we got rained out pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And so the field was completely destroyed, and the umps, or I guess the ruling is, come back the next day and finish the game.
Wow.
But
Oh.
it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that mentally would be tough. Where was the game held?
Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
Was it-
And softballs are always in Tri-Cities. So you're bottom of the 5th inning. Were you guys up to bat at that point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
Andy said the batter, and I think she came into it with 2 strikes. Even.
Okay.
Her count.
Oh. So you come back the next day and you're right away you're like, I'm already 2 strikes, and oh man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that the toughness of that mentally is so hard.
What was the score at that point?
Oh boy.
It was closer than the final score. I know that.
I think it was like, I think we were either down 2 or 3. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you end up playing the last few innings and it doesn't quite turn out maybe the way you wanted, which is hard.
But we just didn't have enough time to convert.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But so cool. And Montesano, right, for people that don't know this, between 2015 and 2020, that was their 3rd or 4th title in like a 5 or 6 year span. So it wasn't, they're a very experienced team, and it's kind of our first time back to the finals in a lot of years. And maybe our first one in fast pitch, I think. Maybe we had one. Oh, I'm trying to look here at the things, but had just been a really long time, a young team, right? And so
I remember we showed up in the dugout and we're warming up, and I look over and Montesano had probably 10 girls in the dugout, or 20, just like so many. It looked like an army, and I was like, and we're over here with like 11 girls.
Yeah, and almost no subs.
So yeah, they were cheering loud, and that made us nervous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there was an intimidation factor a little bit then, I would say.
Yeah, and they had way more coaches. They showed up like they'd been there before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, kind of some momentum coming into the next season. You had that. What were your thoughts after, you take 2nd place, but it's, gotten so close. What were your feelings, coming into the next year? Did you feel like, hey, we can get back there and do this again? Or were you like, hey, it's going to take everything we got. We don't totally know. What were your expectations coming into the next year?
I think everybody was pretty set on the idea we could make it back. And I mean, probably even win it, even with like bonding as a team, having better energy, and just learning from our mistakes as the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody knew that it was a possibility again.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, you knew you could get there. You were down, so that year of second place, you had so Jill and then Maddie, right? Both pitching. So Maddie Ortega Sanchez, she graduated. Did she go on to play somewhere? Is that what I saw?
Yeah, she's playing at Walla.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so she goes on to pitching at the next level or playing at the next level, and then you have Jill pitching and then Randy catching, right? So the sisters there, that definitely some chemistry. Did you guys feel like that was going to affect you at all? Did you have obviously with softball with fast pitch being underhand, it's a little less where I'm still amazed by this because I if I remember this right, did Jill pitch every inning of the season?
She did. She
That
pitched
yeah.
every inning.
That's amazing because you can talk about it's less wear and tear on the shoulder or whatever. I'm like, it's still crazy to do that. Just the and then I feel like and then Randy, is it true you were the catcher for every one of those pitches as well?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's almost tougher. Catcher is just so brutal of a position. Just the focus it takes, and my knees wouldn't hold up for a second doing that. But but the attitude and kind of expectation of that season was like, hey, we can go and do this. We've bonded as a team. We've been there before. Let's kind of go make it happen. What was that season like? So what were some of the teams you guys scheduled, some of these non-league games to get you ready? Who were the big teams you played?
Oh gosh, yeah. So we girls, you might have to remind me. I think we played Eastmont and we played Montesano mid-season and Fallville.
Sela,
Moses
Lake, I think.
I think we might have played earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. We struggled. We didn't always come out with the wins. But the girls, boy, they just kept on fighting. No one got their heads down. It was like, okay, we just come back to practice and go back to work and learn from one. And so, like I say, our record wasn't as impressive that year, but we learned and grew from every experience. And I had to hand it to the girls like that. That's, as a coach, what you would hope would happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of get sort of forged in the fire a little bit. And even if the score during the regular season isn't coming out on top, you guys, obviously, as you got into the playoffs, proved that it was worth every minute of those struggles. So like you said, you guys, that last year didn't finish in the top 4 or 8, whatever it is of the RPS. You had to do the play-in game. How did that go? So I have it here. You guys played Klahowya, and you won 10-0. Were there any nerves going into that game? Like you're like, it's a one-and-done situation, right? If you don't win that one, you're done. Did you guys feel the nerves, feel the pressure at all coming into that?
I was definitely nervous.
I don't know. I wasn't that nervous. I didn't, because I knew if I was going to be nervous, some of the other players would get nervous, so I was trying to keep my cool. And I told the girls, I was like, it's just think of it as a game, but we want to win.
Yeah. You don't need to treat it as anything bigger than it. It's just one game. We're here, and if you play how you should play, you should win it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think, at the beginning of the game, the one thing we got together and talked about before we started playing was energy and how much positive energy and that good mindset is coming into any game plays a huge role in the outcome.
Yeah, no, that's I can imagine just how much power that is. And I think it showed here kind of you guys win that game 10-0. At least that's what the score says here on WIAA. And that sets you up with a rematch now in the quarterfinals with Montesano. So the team you had lost to with this Montesano team that has over the last 5 or 6 years has been really dominant. If I remember from last year, the seeding, were they the number 1 seed as well? I can't remember if that was right. They were one of the higher ones for sure, though, if I remember that. They were in the top 4. And so you guys played them in the regular season. How did that go regular season against them? Wasn't as pretty?
No, it wasn't. I think that, we played them in Walla Walla. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of tough teams there playing. Yeah. But, I just feel like it was in the beginning of the season, and I could tell a lot of the girls were nervous because of last year and what happened. And yeah, it didn't really go good, but it was good to get it out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those games where we hit pretty well against her, but we hit right to them. It was, they just kind of lucked out on some hits. It was a good competitive game, and we were hitting good shots, but they were right to them, and
Yeah.
Yeah, just one of those where it's, just some things maybe shake out different. It can be a different result. But then you get to this rematch in the semifinals. Regular season is what it is. That was kind of in the past. Now you're here in the quarterfinals facing off against them. What was that like? Throughout the game, you guys ended up winning by a couple runs. But how did the flow of the game? Did you guys get up early? Did you have to kind of have a little bit of a comeback? What was the flow of that game like? If you remember too much, maybe it was just kind of all a blur.
We wanted it bad. We wanted it bad because they beat us, and twice now, right, at the state championships, and then earlier in the season. And the girls just had tremendous spirit. They fought hard, and it wasn't until I think it was the 7th inning when Emerson hit in those go-ahead runs, and actually, it was a walk-off, if I remember right. But, yeah, it was just a tremendous battle. The girls, you couldn't have wanted to win more badly than that one. Honestly, it almost felt like that was the state championship game for us. It was that.
It definitely was.
For me, that felt like it was.
Yeah.
Really? That's awesome.
So just kind of that redemption. What was the feeling like for you guys as players after that game, right? The final run scores, game's over. Was it a feeling of relief? Was it, exhilaration, excitement, energy? What did you feel like afterwards?
I remember I had the last out. The girl hit it straight to me, and I caught it, and I slammed that ball on the ground so hard. And I look back at videos, and there was so many our fans were just going crazy. I think every single one of them just jumped up and just cheered, and it was so amazing. The best feeling.
Yep.
I remember ripping off my helmet and throwing it on the ground. Going back and watching videos, you see it fly across the field.
That's funny.
Yep.
No, and then after that, all of us run into the middle and we're all in a hug. We're all crying, bawling our eyes out.
Yeah.
It was really the best feeling ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm sure that
get chills hearing about it.
Yeah, no kidding. And that, I'm sure, how did that carry into the next games?
Yeah. So was it hard to refocus? So now, the next day you're playing in the semifinals and playing Cedar Park Christian, which I don't know too much about them, but other than they're a private school, and that bugs me, but that's again besides the point.
I remember after we played Montesano and won, it was late at night and all the girls are in a hotel room, and I looked at everyone and I was like, getting that out of the way, we're gonna win the state championship, no doubt. We can do it.
Yeah.
No, we were all in a high after that game. I think everybody was just
I
was in the right mindset to be oh, we can win now, we don't have to play them anymore.
Yeah. There we beat Goliath. It's time now. It's our time. So
I gotta tell a little bit of a story to add to this. I called your dad, Randy, to ask him some question about spraying, and I think it was after you guys had won against Montesano. And for your dad to say this, you knew he was pretty excited. He said, "I don't care, Larry. I'm not even thinking about farming," is what he said. And I just thought, wow, for Andy not to be thinking about farming, he's definitely into this. Championship run here.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right. You watch him in all the videos. Oh, was it districts when he ran out onto the field? Oh, and he's all jumping in the circle with us. He's the only parent out there.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I love it. We need more of that. We need more parents running out on the field and just because people, I mean, don't understand how much energy and just the blood, sweat, and tears that the parents do over all of the years of taking kids to, to travel teams and even to Little League and grid kids and little dribblers and just all the different sports and just the time in the car and the emotional help that your parents are as an athlete. And then, I hate to, but as you if you get into coaching later and you still call your dad like me and talk about whatever stupid JV game I was coaching or whatever. And, so man, as a coach, just how grateful you are for parents. And I love that. That's awesome. He ran out there on the field and just, so cool.
I think with him having two daughters, one being a catcher and then one being a catcher, it's got to be kind of nerve-wracking for him too, I guess.
I can't even imagine. Every pitch has just got to be like, oh, come on. Like, you just so nervous. I can't even imagine. So the next day, right, and so this, if my understanding of this is correct, right, so semifinals and finals, it's like maybe not a double header back-to-back, but you play them the same day. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go to the semifinals in the morning. You beat Cedar Park Christian by the same score you beat Montesano, 6-4. To get kind of punch your ticket to the state championship. When that was over, right, so you talked about beating Montesano kind of, and you felt like as a team, like, hey, that one's done. We're going to win the state championship. Did you feel like beating Cedar Park Christian, was that a big sense of relief? Were you nervous before that one? How did your attitude change between kind of quarterfinals to semifinals? Or was it really the same? Was it nerves and relief when you were done?
I was kind of nervous because it was one more game and then championship, but I wasn't trying to let myself get nervous because we were so close.
Yeah.
But I think we were feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think just the Montesano game, everybody was
like, whew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like hard part's over to a certain extent, which is funny to think of that, it's the next two are huge games, it's a semifinal and feeling like you're done, but obviously it kind of worked out. So you guys win that game. How much time was there in between the semifinal and then the championship game? Did you have much time off? Is it a few hours? Is it most of the day? What's that like?
I think it was a couple hours because I think we went to Jimmy John's for lunch, didn't we, guys?
Nice.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, because we were like, let's get away from the field,
Yeah.
kind of take a break, refresh, not focus on softball for a moment, and kind of come back into it.
Yeah.
That was fresh.
So is that kind of the strategy, right, between those two games? Is you're kind of like, hey, we're just away from softball for a little bit and decompress? Or are you trying to be focused and talk about things? What was it like in between those two games?
Oh, I like the girls to take a break and laugh and have some fun and not be thinking about softball, and then we come back and refocus because otherwise it weighs heavy if you're there all day watching games and thinking about your next game, and so I think it's good to step away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was good for our mental mindset to kind of take a step back and relax a little bit and then come back into it.
Yeah, makes a big difference.
And
for sure.
I remember we were warming up and the other team wasn't even there, and then they showed up and they went to the mall.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
And they all
They
showed
took
up
a
with their
big break.
bags.
Oh,
And
jeez.
they're all smiling and laughing, and I was like, oh, okay.
And you're like,
Who was it? What school was it you were playing?
It was the championship
Yeah,
game.
it was the championship game.
Seton Catholic.
Yeah, who was
Seton
that?
Catholic.
Catholic.
Oh,
I was
man.
just a mix-up
Okay.
with Stuart Parker.
Love it.
Seton
That's
Catholic.
awesome.
Right, I forgot.
And we're all looking at them and we're like, oh. they
So
went
do
to
you
the
see
mall.
that and you're like, oh man, it's like a lion and a gazelle. You're like, oh, we're gonna
Yeah.
tear these guys apart. Was that kind of the feeling when you saw that?
Yeah.
I love it. I can't even describe.
I
Seton
do
Catholic
too. That
drives
is
me
awesome.
so crazy. When we played them in football a couple years ago in the semifinals, like a bunch of people like showed up in town and were like, "Are you guys like any good or anything?" Like just so. I don't know if arrogant's the right word. So I love that. They show up from the mall with all their bags and it's like, oh, you guys have no idea what's about to happen. And they really didn't.
No, that's literally how it was.
If you look at the score. So how, like, did you even have time to really be nervous? What was the difference between the year before, the second place year to winning the state year, going into the final game? Was it nerves? Was it confidence? Was it just go, right? Because it was just so many games back to back. What did you guys feel like? Or was it just, blood in the water and you guys were the sharks? Like, what was that like?
Really, I think it was all of it. All of the above.
Mm-hmm.
But
the 2 years ago when we got second, that was, I think it was nerves for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Just like seeing the other team and how like they have everything right. They have so many girls in the dugout. They're cheering way louder than us. They had that support with like just everything because they've been there before.
Yeah.
And so I think I remember that scared me. But this last year, I was so like just focused on getting the redemption, and I wasn't letting anything get in my head. And I told the girls, I was like, no one needs to be nervous right now because we were literally standing here last year and we already beat the team that we lost to, and so why not beat this team too and win?
That's awesome. That's so cool. Just the
Well
mentality of that. That's just a great way to say it. And that's really what happened. I remember, I was with my wife's family, and nobody really knew this at the time, but my wife was, 2-3 months pregnant. And so what's the app called? I can't remember where it tracks every pitch. I'm sure there's somebody there at the game entering it in. So I'm just refreshing it, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, we're up by however many now. This is crazy. I'm like telling my wife, I'm like, we're up by like 16 runs. This is so nuts. I'm like, they're gonna 10 run them in the finals, and she's like, I don't even know what that means. But but what was that like for you guys during the course of the game? Did you expect to win by that much? At what point were you did you feel like, oh, this is over, we got this? Was it hard to focus getting up by a lot of runs? What was it like for you in the championship game in that situation?
I think as soon as we started scoring, everybody was just like so hyped and so positive that it creates such a influence on how everybody plays with how positive you are and how loud you're cheering. And
powerful.
Like immediately the runs stacked up, and no, it was unbelievable, really.
Yeah, I remember I was up first, and I went up to the dugout, and I was like, I'm going to hit this ball, and I'm going to get on, and then you are, and you are, and you are. And I remember I got on, and then everyone just started hitting, and I remember when I was on first, and Audrey hit the home run. That was that was when we knew that we were winning this thing. That was such a good feeling. Like I literally looked up and it was like, wow.
No, Audrey is
she crushed it too.
Powerful
she
hitter.
hit that ball so hard. And when we were at home plate waiting for her, and she rounded third, and she was already just bawling, and I was like, oh my gosh.
I can only imagine.
So cool.
Yeah. And so, right, what are some other, things you remember from the game, or just any memories you might have, and Coach, you as well? What I'd just love to hear any details you have, if you have any. Don't feel too much pressure, but things like that are awesome. Of just the home run and.
Jill pitched a tremendous game, and all of our success is really behind our pitchers. And if they're getting the job done, and we can get the job done on offense, then that's success right there. And she just carried us through and really pitched a tremendous game.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference. So for you guys, once that the game's over, you won, your state champions. What was the feeling like after that? Do you remember? Like, was it just a blur? Was it just emotion, tears, yelling, excitement? What was it like after that?
It was all of that. I mean, it was crazy. There's tears, adrenaline, just so much.
Yeah.
It was also a blur, but
yeah,
just like seeing all the fans after, because they cared so much about us and they were there the whole time. It was just crazy. It was literally a dream come true.
Literally unreal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's so cool you say that, of just that coming into high school and of having, had close family members, right? Moms and aunts and cousins, whoever who played and won these state titles, and then to 25, 30 years later to win again and have that dream be fulfilled is so cool. It's so fun to see. There's just nothing like it, like a high school state championship, in my opinion, right? And it's not like I've been at college championships or Super Bowl or whatever, NBA Finals, World Series, that kind of thing. But high school sports are just different, I think, in that way of just it's your home and it's your family members or the fans in the stand and these people that you just love so much and everything. There's just nothing quite like that. So we just appreciate you guys sharing that. Yeah,
another thing, I remember after the game, there were so many little girls who look up to us, and it was so cool to have them watch that and look up to you and see you as a leader as they're growing. So I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest parts, I think, too, is just seeing this next generation, and it's cool that you notice that and appreciate that, because I don't know if everybody does, but that's such a just a like an important memory for those kids of
just it is
watching them this all-star and just knowing that that's something they can achieve, and whether they go on to achieve a state championship or whatever it is in life, that example for them is huge. So that's cool. That's so cool to hear you guys, that be something important to you.
Okay, so both of you have little sisters. What are they? Softball players?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sort of. Harper's
Harper not
really
so much.
Soccer right now.
Okay.
She claims she doesn't want to play softball, but I think with having me and Jill as her sisters, it'll be bound to happen. She's gonna have to play softball.
Yeah, it'll be tough not to.
Yeah.
And then Livy.
Yeah.
She's playing middle school right now. She's one of the pitchers, I think.
Nice. Yeah, so we'll have her next year, which will be great to have another pitcher.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, that 8th grade group of girls, I've had them in class now for a couple of years, and they're serious business. So it's going to be fun to see these next few years of our girls' sports. Well, to kind of wrap things up here, I just want to ask you just a couple of things. Just have you share a couple of things. We'll start with this. What would be a piece of advice that maybe each of you might have for the next generation of Royal softball players? Maybe that is the middle school girls. Maybe you have somebody specific in mind, and you don't have to be like, hey, this is for this person. But if you were to give some advice to up and coming, next generation of Royal softball players, what advice would that be?
I would say not to be afraid to step up and take leadership. Like, you don't have to be a senior or a starter to be a leader, and just step up and lead the energy that's going on. Anybody can be a leader, and that plays a huge role in softball.
Yeah. I would say having a good mindset too. Like, you go to your every single game, acting like you're gonna win. It's not like, oh, they look pretty good. You're going into it thinking that you're gonna win and you're gonna play your best.
Yeah, that mentality, I can imagine, is huge. Just that, and confidence coming into it, like you guys talked about. Kind of maybe the difference in those state title games too was that mindset for sure. Coach, how about you? What advice would you have to kind of your future players coming up the line?
Oh, well, we're working hard on the youth program. A lot of girls playing makes me really excited. And, usually what I tell everybody is to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's where the real growth happens. I don't know much about the guys and coaching boys sports, but girls, sometimes it's hard to get out of your comfort zone. And so I really encourage them to try things that are new and awkward and different and don't feel right, because I think that's where the growth happens. And so I'm excited. We have so many girls playing league, little league and some summer ball. And so I think the future of the program is really strong with that.
Yeah. Cool. I love that advice. I think, and coaching boys in football and in golf, that's huge. Just, I love that. The way you said that, get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think being in those situations where your heart's pounding and you're nervous and you're like, I don't know how to do this, but just being able to live in that zone and still perform is so big. And so I love that advice for everybody, not just our girls softball players coming up, to the boys too who might be listening to this. Definitely take that advice as well. Well, last question here that we have for you guys. And this is one we kind of ask everybody, I guess, over the years, but over the years, I don't know why I said years. We've been doing this for like 3 months. Over the episodes of weeks, maybe feels like years. Favorite place to stop and eat after a game? What is it for you guys?
Oh gosh.
It really depends where we're at.
Yeah, that definitely makes a difference.
Yeah, but you got to have a favorite, you guys.
Yeah.
I would say at state, going to Mexican food is
Oh yeah, what's it called? Fiesta?
I don't know, but we go there when we went to state.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. The best.
Oh yeah, the food always tastes better after you have state championship. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. What is it? Is everybody in agreement on that one? Is that the best one?
Oh yeah, you might be fishing for minors, but usually our games get over so late we don't stop and keep rolling.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've only been here, a few years back coaching. I've never been to minors as a coach,
what?
So I don't even. Yeah, we never have gone. Same thing with football games. When it's over, we just leave. Or for golf, the kids don't really want to go there because it's kind of expensive for them. It's a sweet deal for the coaches, but the kids are like, nah, I don't want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, or anything else? Sorry, did I make sure?
I think we got to hit the walk-up song, man.
Oh,
this is an opportunity when we got softball players.
Oh gosh.
Okay, starting with Raegan, what would your walk-up song be?
I
Putting
think
you on the spot.
last year.
Welcome to the jungle.
Oh yeah.
Oh
And
yeah,
then-
that's a good one.
Yeah, I had that one like 2 years ago or something, and then last year I changed it to "For Whom the Bell Tolls."
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
The rock one.
Okay, that's good. Randy, how about you?
Well, I think I've changed it every year so far, but the most recent one was "Back to the Hotel" by N Too Deep.
Whoa.
I don't know that one, but
No, me neither. I got nothing there.
yeah.
Just the intro.
Okay, we're going to be looking these up after the
Yeah,
episode.
we'll throw these on. Well then,
Oh,
and then Lisa, maybe
Coach, how about you?
back in the day, what was yours, or what would it be now?
no, I'm so old. We didn't have
Yeah. Well,
But I do have to. We haven't talked about it tonight, but our coaching staff is really incredible, and I have to say, Randy and Raegan are both a part of our coaching staff. So we really encourage our
Really?
girls.
That's awesome.
oh, nice.
My own daughter Addie, when she's back from college, she joins us. We've got another couple players that have been playing college ball that their season's kind of sideways, and they're helping us out. I coached them over the years, so. Amongst us, like older people, we've got some really great youth coaches that are involved, younger people, and that's really exciting.
That is really exciting. The kind of next generation of coaches coming in.
So who, Lisa, from your coaching, you're coaching at Royal, who's playing college ball or has played that
Maddie
you've coached at Royal?
Sanchez,
Yep.
the only Royal player playing right now, I think. Right,
Is
girl?
she?
Yeah, I think so.
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Maddie's had a great season down at Walla Walla, by the way.
Nice.
Really?
That's so cool.
Yes.
Yeah, well, she would. I remember we'd go play open gym basketball on Mondays, and I feel like throughout the whole year she's in there pitching and just working on it all the time. And people don't necessarily see that behind the scenes, but man, just so hard of a worker that I think people could see that. They'd be pretty shocked at how much time she put in. So that's cool to hear she's doing so well.
Definitely. Yes.
Well, before we sign off, let's hear about the season this year. So we're kind of sort of mid-season right now. How's the team doing, and what's kind of the next step here? When do districts start? When are the next few games so people can get out there and support?
Yeah, so we play in Warden tomorrow against Warden and Adna. Adna, if I remember right, they won state the last 2 years for QB, and Warden is always a worthy competitor for us. So the next 10 days, though, are really the meat of our season.
Yeah.
We play College Place on Tuesday at home. Then we travel to Walla Walla. We play Selma and Meridian.
Okay.
And then the following Tuesday, we play at Kaibi. Kaibi beat us at districts last year, so they're just feisty, and we can't rest on our laurels for sure. We got to bring everything when we play those guys. So so the next 10 days are tough. Then we play Connell and Natchez. I don't think we can let down on anybody. And then we have district around the second week of May.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are excited to see this season, and your young coaches, your young players that you have out there, and I think kind of the sky's the limit. And so we want to thank you guys. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for carrying on the legacy of Royal Softball. And the big thing I think for me personally that I love to see is thank you for being an example to those young kids out there. I know it means a ton to the kids I have in middle school. They talk about it all the time, and just that positive influence is huge. So thank you guys so much for everything you do for the community.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, and you can always follow us on the Game Changer app.
That's
I
what it
think
is,
that's
yeah.
what you're referring
Yes,
to
Game
earlier.
Changer. Yep.
Changer's app. So if you can't make it to a game, we only have 2 home games left. It's College Place on Tuesday. We have a doubleheader. And then we have a doubleheader May 2nd. It'll be senior night against Natchez at home. And that's the last of our home games for the year. We'll be traveling the rest of it. So
Okay.
we love the support. Appreciate it.
Okay. Awesome.
And every game is on Game Changer, Lisa?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
By video, and you can follow the game stream if you don't have access to the video.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay. Cool. Well, thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for being on again. We appreciate it so much. But thanks, everybody, for tuning in this week and listening. Get out there and support softball these last couple home games, and as we get into districts and into state, the support means so much, as we kind of heard from these guys here. We'll see everybody next week. I don't know what the episode will be. Producer Larry Christensen, my dad here, he'll work on something. He always does.
Come up with something.
Yep, he never fails. But thanks, everybody, and we will see you guys next week.